Saint Daniel of the parking lot, help me find a parking spot. Is you is or is you not? Saint Daniel of the parking lot. It is happening with these people because there is less congestion, there are fewer requests, and whomever the guest is at the Best Western Motel, hotel, whatever, the parking spot is secure. S. P. lot, S. P. lot. Let us begin. I walk with spirits that guide my hand as we get near it, the promised land. My brothers, my sisters, we are not alone. I walk with spirits that take me home. I walk with spirits that guide my, well, what do they guide? I forgot. Oh yeah, I was so caught up in the spirit walk, I forgot about the spirit talk. It's coming back to me now. Here I go. I walk with spirits. They have my ear. They speak, I hear it. The message clear. Don't cry for family. Don't cry for self. There's a world we know, yeah. There's something else. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, walk, baby. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Keep on walking. Where do you put your ego? You put your ego in the trunk. Say it, live it, give it up. Say it, live it, give it up. Put your ego in the trunk with the other bodies. Put your body in the funk of life. I just threw that in. It's not as eloquent as Saint Daniel would have said it, but it is enough from me. It is enough from me. I want to tell you, and I want to thank the shepherd today for what he said yesterday, really last week, when he said, the desert prophet look for you is not the cool, hip thing anymore. It worked before you went onto YouTube. It worked when you were standing out there with your walking stick, your staff, shepherding the cars into the available parking spots. Because what we have come to understand is if and when you are ready to receive the benefit of the parking lot saints' generosity, and when you are kind enough, humble enough, willing enough to secure convenient parking, this gift will be given to you, and you will be so ecstatic that you might miss the exact space available to you because your delirium takes you away from this mortal coil, this specific plane of existence, and you are rocketed into another realm of existence, another dimension. Some call it the fourth dimension of existence, and therefore you miss the third dimensional parking spot available to you, the congregant of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints. So the shepherd said that was your job for the longest time, to stand up there like some prophetic, messianic figure with a Charlton Heston, if you remember Charlton Heston, beard, and a fiery beret, and wild eyes that sunglasses cannot hide the fire from the rest of the people who can feel it burning. That was a terrible sentence, but my winging it kind of certainty is not there today, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But the shepherd said, so it's time, and I think it's kind of like I lost a little bit of my hair from my head and on my chin, but the shepherd said it was a good time to clean up and look a little more pastoral rather than the wild man in the wilderness of parking lot asphalt, gravel, and dirt. Oh, it sounds so inviting. I miss it sometimes. We will have to one day revisit my origins in the parking lot way of life, so to speak. Now that I have this studio, which is, okay, I guess, which is, for the most part, I know I got carried away in my venomous portrayal of Joe Fingers, and I think it worked, though, because after that, he came up to me, or he didn't come up to me, he sent me a vicious email, because Joe Fingers is like so many other people. If it wasn't for social media, he would not have the guts to call me the names he called me in the email, to call me the names he calls me on Messenger, direct message. He would never put this on the Facebook because he does not want the people who are backing him up to see him basically showing his tail feathers right there, showing it for everyone to see. So I keep the messages as ammunition for when I need it. And I think that he realized after his last tirade, both on YouTube and through DM, that he had overstepped and went into serious hyperbolic mode. And therefore, the last open email or I take it back. Facebook message to me was, I realized that I was in error when I said I gave you free time for St. Daniel's message to be brought to a mass audience. I'm trying to relate from memory. He says, but from now on, there will be no cost to you, as long as you make sure your congregants and anybody who accidentally happened to view your show thinks that I am charging you. Just make sure that they know from this day forward there will be no charge. So he was a little bit embarrassed by his behavior, ladies and gentlemen, and as a consequence, the subsequent decision on his part was a good one, to not charge me anymore. So I will give the devil his due. I think, like I said last time, maybe it wasn't me, maybe it was Joe Fingers, because I watch his videos. I get so mixed up sometimes about what I said and what he said. But anyway, that is a little good in the worst of us. And so that's the little good coming from Joe Fingers. Now, as part of the sermon, I have found, as you know, I am the foremost scholar. I am the foremost scholar of all things parking lot saint-wise. That is why I am the founding minister. I am not the head of this church. The head of this church is none other than St. Daniel himself, because he speaks through me. Apparently, he had a lot to say last week. It may have had a lot to do with the way I am being treated at this time by Joe Fingers. Okay, but I found some notes from St. Daniel, and I believe it's from as a result of some of his readings. I do not have the book, nor the title, nor the page from which these questions arise, but apparently he was studying some text, either sociological or spiritual in nature, and he asked these questions. What's the world like, and what's our relationship to it? Well, I don't know. You can comment what you think the world is like and what your relationship is to it. Feel free to do that after you push subscribe and push like, and feel free to comment on what you feel the world is like today and what is our relationship to it. I feel the world today would like for us to stay where we are. I feel the world today would like us to know our place and sit tight and be right with it. I feel the world today thinks it only listens to that big, active, loud voice because it makes for big ratings on whatever news or entertainment device most people would tune into, whether it be the TV or the Netflix or the local internet news channel or some other kind of mainstream or radical fringe kind of material you want to pay attention to. I do not know how to describe it because I'm not up to the latest gadgetry, and I am not well versed in what's available out there as far as news and information goes, other than the blanket of the internet and the other networks and devices I have mentioned. So let me tell you, I am illiterate when it comes to that. I just know there's a lot of stuff out there, and the louder and the more vulgar and the more profane and the more outrageous, the better it is for news hits, I guess. News hits, for people to hit that channel to watch this news. So, what is my place in it? My place is to deliver the message of St. Daniel of the parking lot, the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints. My message is to tell you this, is to stay quiet, be still, and know that St. Daniel will provide whatever trivial request you make as long as you know how to use the system. Sometimes it is best in a big, loud system to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open and to scope out the situation in order to know what the move is best. What move is best for you? What move is best for your family, for your friends? What move is best for you? Sometimes you do not. I like to say do not because it reminds me of donuts, which I've given up because I am trying to manufacture a better image as advised by the shepherd for Joseph Fingersmith to maybe, perhaps one day be a right reverend rather than a not quite right reverend. But let me tell you about how that title came to pass. Because I utilized the still small voice to tell me to maximize the impression that you give other people that there is something not quite right about you. So then you will be dismissed as an addle-headed kind of jokester, perhaps a jester, perhaps a person who dresses up in fancy robes and big sunglasses and creates quite a scene figuratively, but says very little substantively, and pretend like you're having a hard time saying substantively. See, I'm pretty good at pretending I have a hard time saying substantively. It's like I really have a hard time doing it. So people will think I am not really a reverend, that there's something not quite right about me. And I stay quiet about that. Let that happen and wait for the moment to pounce. Wait for the moment, when the moment becomes right, to convey my message. My message is this, that there is no gift too small to ignore. There is no person too quiet to be bypassed. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a message. And sometimes that message is delivered with a quiet voice. St. Daniel of the parking lot, help me find a parking spot. Is you is or is you not, St. Daniel of the parking lot? Your beseechment is best done in living room or classroom voice. It does not have to be screeched and yelled and hollered for the whole world to know. Because you know what happens if the whole world knows? If you're so loud, say it loud enough, say it loud enough, say it loud enough, it'll be like that baseball stadium movie with Kevin Costner. Build it, and they will come. You holler enough, everyone's going to hear it. Parking spot? There's going to be a parking spot? I'm going to be right there. And you're going to miss out on your parking spot because they're going to say, man, move away. There's something not quite right about you. You're too quiet. You got to get out of here. We don't have no time for you. What you got to say for yourself? Nothing. What you got to say for yourself? I can't hear you. Remember Gomer Pyle? Anybody? Remember when he was a Marine? He had that little sergeant going, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You got all these little sergeants in this comedy about you being in the Marine Corps, and you're not ever even equipped to be a Marine Corps. Surprise, 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 surprise. You're not even equipped to be a person in the Marine Corps, but you're in the Marine Corps, and you got some little 5'2" sergeant yelling at you, I can't hear you, and you're supposed to answer. And that's what these people are all like. And I'm getting loud now, and you don't want to listen to me now either, do you? Because I'm getting loud. No one wants to listen to a loud mouth, but everybody wants to see the loud mouth on TV. Everybody wants to hear about the loudmouth on the internet. Everybody wants to type in a loudmouth voice calling somebody an idiot. Well, no, we don't do that. The Church of St. Daniel Parking Lot Saints, we tone it down. We keep quiet. We basically wait for the moment to say, look here, St. Daniel. I'm not shouting like these folks. I'm not pushing the person who's not mentally equipped, to understand that his time is right to basically make the move, to be pushed out of the way by people who think they're smarter than them, who think they are smarter, when all they are is more rude and less nice than that person. And excuse me when I said not mentally equipped, because I don't know what their mental equivalency is. They could be the smartest person in the world. They could be the janitor. They could be the janitor who quit this life because they did not want to play the game. But basically, they're the one who really knows how the world works. And I tell you what, there will always be a space in that utility closet for that person's mop bucket. There will always be a spot in the parking lot for that person to put their car or their scooter or their bicycle, or their skateboard, if they're not just hoofing it. There'll always be a spot. I don't know if they still have those things at McDonald's. There'll always be a spot for the child genius to put his shoes into the shoe closet while he goes and plays on the McDonald's gym rather than eat those chicken nuggets. Because he's quiet and he doesn't say, oh, I don't eat your crummy food. He says, I want to go play in your playground, so I'll let someone else eat your crummy food and I'll get to go play. And I'll be quiet about it and I'll say, thank you, Ronald, for the playground. And I will put my 50 cents into the McDonald's house, even though McDonald's can probably afford to subsidize that house by itself. It's the act. It's the act of kindness that matters. It's what guarantees that when you're old enough to drive or when you're out there, joyriding in your parents' car at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're only 13 years old, there will always be a parking spot for you to pull into to hide from the police because they're on to you. But you keep your cool, you keep it slow, you pull into the parking spot. That's it. That's our position in this world, is to keep it down, to maintain a low profile, to wait for our moment. And as long as we're being good to other people, we will have our moment. As long as we're taking that ego, this is part of taking that ego and putting it into the trunk, brothers and sisters. We don't need that funk. We don't need that punk ego here right now. We don't need to throw our 2 cents in. Because you know what? We will be beat pillar to post if we throw our 2 cents in. Pillar to post, baby. Sometimes we have to just be quiet and wait for the moment. And when the moment arrives, the parking spot will open and you can go right on in and hide from the police and never have to say, officer, I didn't know you had to have a driver's permit to drive. I just see everybody else driving. And I thought, I couldn't sleep. This would be a good way to relax. My papa does it all the time. He relaxes his himself right over to the Eagles Club and goes inside and has a few. And he gets out. He has a license, apparently. And he can drink and drive. Why can't I at 13? Oh, by the way, if you're 13, don't tell anybody you're driving. Don't tell anybody you're drinking. I prefer you not to drive, and I prefer you not to drink. I'm letting you know. It's my preference. But I do know, as the stepfather to 2 children, as the grandfather, all of a sudden I became a grandfather when I don't even have any biological children. Grandfather to one 17-year-old. I will tell you now that I can advise them not to drink, and I can advise them not to drive without a license. I can advise them not to steal my car. I can call up the police and say they stole my car, but if you're in that parking place, and if you're outside of that car, there's no way to prove that you stole my car. But you gotta keep quiet, as quiet as you were when you snuck out of the house with the keys and stole the car. You gotta be that quiet. Quiet. Wait for your spot. Move right in. That's my place in the world. I've not done a good job of it lately. I will have to admit, this battle royal with Joe Fingers has got to stop, mainly because it heightens my profile. Do I want you to subscribe? Yes, I want you to subscribe. Do I want you to tell your friends? Yes, I want you to tell your friends. One person could tell, 6 degrees of separation? Have 6 people telling you. Tell one, 6 more will find out, or something like that. I've never been good with math. That's why I'm not one of them scientists who tells you how the world was created or is finding out the secret of the universe and uncovering it. All I know is I was given the message by St. Daniel. All I know is I am so trivial that St. Daniel welcomed me here. All I know. And I have this platform. And there are 43 subscribers who I consider congregants. And I would like to build this substantially, but I cannot do it by screaming at you to subscribe, although I've been doing it today. I cannot do it. My place in the world is my place in the world. And whether or not I'm here 10 years from now with maybe 13 subscribers, because people are tired of hearing about St. Daniel, and they decide they're not going to drive anyway because they lost their license because they listened to me about drinking and driving, which was mostly the way they hear it. Way any teenager is going to hear this, sirs and madams, and any others listening, however you identify yourself, which is like something I want to get into, but I'm going to stay quiet about it. I'm going to practice what I preach today. Keep a quiet profile, and you tell me what I think about that. You tell me what I think about that. You watch how I behave. You watch my actions. You see if I get any parking spots, and then you're going to find out what St. Daniel thinks I think about that. We could go on forever. My place in the world is my place in the world. And I know how I want to be, and I know that sometimes I'm not that way, and that's why I'm a preacher man, so I can tell you what to do. And I can say, do as I do, not do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. Isn't that what a good preacher man does? Maybe I'm not quite right. Maybe I need to stay not quite right. Maybe I'm not quite right because I want you to do as I do, not as I say. Maybe it's okay to not be right. Maybe it's okay to not quite be right, to be not quite right. It took me a little while. Maybe it's okay to say I can't say substantive, which I said better than I ever did say. And maybe it's okay not to lie to y'all and tell you I still don't like Joe Fingers, no matter how much he gives me a free rent here at the studio, because it pays him, because he can say those are his 43 subscribers when I know they're my congregants. Well, excuse me. ego got out of the trunk for a minute. I know the St. Daniel followers. They're practitioners of the Church of St. Daniel, of parking lot saints. What's this say? How should we live? I already answered that. Are you going to watch me? And this is how I live. This is how I live. Is it large? No, I'm shrinking. It's not that large except for these sunglasses. You know? That's the other thing. The shepherd told me, Joseph, Finga, Smith, you need to do something about your image. You need to trim that beard, cut that hair, even if you're wearing a hat, a beret. You know, make sure your contacts work, even if your glasses cover up your blue eyes because they look too much like Joe Finga's eyes. But also do something about that fat frame of yours, brother. And that's what the shepherd calls me, brother. Brother. He calls me brother. So that's not appropriation. It's a little bit of, that's what he calls me. And if I be appropriating it, I'm appropriating it from a much skinnier than me, much taller than me Irishman. Well, of Irish descent. He's not an Irishman. He'd probably get insulted if I said that. If you knew who the shepherd was, you know, he'd shrug it off. The shepherd is a great example of what it means to be a member of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints, though I don't even know if he's a member. He might just be an advisor, but he advised me. So, you know, I did a little intermittent fasting. I said, what's intermittent fasting? He says, you don't eat for 5 days, and then you just eat moderately for 2 days. And it has to be like vegetables and meat and nothing else, you know, for a limited 8-hour window each of those 2 days. I said, that sounds like intermittent dying. He says, take it the way you want to take it. He says, fasting is of great spiritual importance. Everybody's done it. Any person who has been part of any spiritual, maybe not even spiritual, psychological kind of discipline, has engaged in physical discipline, has engaged in periodic fasting. Gandhi's a big example of it. I won't go into some of the other rumors about Gandhi, which are skewed as far as I'm concerned. Oh, I gave you an opinion, I'm sorry. Perhaps they're not skewed. Perhaps it basically shows the dark side of Gandhi. Could be. Now I'm covering both bases. Just in case I get into trouble, I don't want you to know what I really think about this stuff. I'm going to give you both sides, just like I was in Texas or something, trying to understand certain mandates. Except I only have one position on the Holocaust. It happened. I can say this without feeling any kind of concern for backlash. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the position that the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints takes on the Holocaust. The Holocaust was horrible. The Holocaust sought to exterminate Jews. The Holocaust killed millions of people who were not Jews. The Holocaust, I'm calling it a Holocaust. I'm sorry, I say Holly. I mispronounce things. I blame it on my mother. My mother mispronounced a lot of things, and I learned how to pronounce words from my mother, so blame it on my mother. See, this is why I don't talk too much. But the Holocaust that happened, it was terrible. It's a blight upon our humanity, and I have nothing, there's no to doubt when it comes to that. I'm going to say that. And I know I sound like, it's just obvious. It's not being brave to say that. I'm not even going to pretend I'm being brave. What I want to do is take the easy way out on things. And not dismiss the utter terribleness of that. Okay, I dwell too much on it, but that's how it goes. Comment if you thought I talked too much about it. That's fine. I need a comment. Let's have another question. I don't even know where this. Let's. Let's do this. It's not what I say, it's what I do. Ever since that day I run into you, I wanna tell you what I can do. Instead I just show you, and you know it's true. Show me not, tell me. It's what my auntie always said. Show me not, tell me what you do, more important than what you said. I could be a poser, get down on my knees. Yeah, I suppose that's what some people need. But mine's a program of action. All good works need to be done. Oh, I get satisfaction. Oh, sometimes it's not fun. Show me, not tell me. It's what my auntie said. Show me, not tell me. Oh, it's drilled into my head. So we get to St. Daniel. He was a humble man. Well, sometimes he was humble. He did the best he can. He's had a hard life, no one can deny. But he never complained. Oh, well, at least he tried not to complain. Show me, not tell me what my auntie said. Show me, not tell me. It keeps running through my head. Anymore, I find it hard to brag. 'Cause show me, not tell me has become my Facebook tag. Anything that rhymes with any last word that I utter, even if the only word I can think of now is the gutter. Any thought I have, you know it's good as gold. Even if the thoughts I need to way hold. Ladies and gentlemen, I stole that chord progression from Joe Fingers. I happened to be at his gig last night, and I was the only one staying awake during his performance. And much of the time, when in doubt, he would resort to the C minor, the E flat, and the F as kind of thoughtful experiments in sound to get him to where he wanted to go. And though most of his songs were cover tunes, they sounded completely different. The only way I could tell that they were cover tunes was if I heard him announce the title of the song and I Googled it and listened on my earphones while he was playing. And I tell you, none of it sounded similar. I would not have known it was the song that he said he was playing. Joe Fingers, the man, the legend in his own legendary crippled mind. I'm sorry. I'm working on forgiveness. And this is what happens when I open my mouth and why I need to keep it shut sometimes. What thoughts, feelings, actions, etc. are proper to a human being? All right. I've been hedging on this, but I have told you the fundamental response of the proper congregant of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints is basically to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. Okay, so I've been getting this constant question, basically written to me, direct message, from a person who I feel is not sincere in his or her or their desire to have a real question answered. Because it's constantly, what is your position on premarital sex? Premarital sex. Now, as I've already told you, what I feel, and as the founder of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints, as the designated DM man, the personal DM from St. Daniel to you regarding his opinion and policies on or mandates on this matter, not so much the premarital sex matter, but the way to conduct yourself as a proper member of the Parking Lot Saint Church, is this. Keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. Means you're going to see things you're not going to necessarily want to see, but until the time is right, you don't say anything, or at least you don't say anything at that moment. Okay? Now, regarding premarital sex, the message I'm getting is kind of cluttered. I say it like that, cluttered, kind of cluttered, because that's how it's coming across to me. It's kind of cluttered, but the gist of it is this. St. Daniel's opinion on premarital sex begins with, he will not, and we will not, express our opinion regarding premarital sex, nor will we express verbally or via written word our opinion regarding postmarital sex. We have no opinion. It's like I can acknowledge that it happens. Like I acknowledge 15-year-olds sneak out and steal their parents' car. Does not mean I'm against it or for it. It means I acknowledge it. Same with premarital sex. Same with postmarital sex. Some people are going to tell me there's a lot more premarital sex than postmarital sex. I'm not going to tell you what my opinion is. That's their opinion. Free to have it. As a member, free to have the opinion, free to have, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. We're not moral arbiters as far as what your specific, proclivities are sexually. We're not the moral arbiter of that, other than do no harm. You want to get more specific in your question? I may have a more specific answer regarding that. But just the premarital sex response, that's it. Quiet. I hope I settled this for once and for all. But I bet that person doesn't quiet down. I don't even know what time it is. I love these questions. I'm going to leave this here for Joe Fingers to read. And I hope, how do I measure up? All right. I'm going to ask you all to make comments, to press like, and even if there's a dislike, I would prefer you to press like because I want you to commentary on me. How do I measure up as a reverend? Not quite right or quite right? How do I measure up as a practitioner of the faith of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints? How do I measure up? Do I keep a quiet, low profile, or am I too flamboyant, loud, and obnoxious? Or am I somewhere in the middle? I won't have a numerical rating system. I would like to see a comment or two. Please, I'm begging you, pretty please. I'm always promising to have some prizes next week. I'm going to have something to give away for what I thought was the best comment of the week. Whether it was pro or con me, whether it had something good to say about me or bad, whatever was the best. I have Sean Williams helping me be a judge. I have the shepherd helping me being a judge. Okay? And I see that I'm lapsing into my Joe Fingers voice. I do this when I leave. I try to imitate him. So I think I better close. Spot for me, a place to sleep in that ain't rough on my knees. Yeah, please, Daniel, please find a parking spot for me. Don't have a car, but I got my needs. Please, Daniel, please. I got a little drunk last night. I talked too much. Got in trouble, got in a fight. Oh, baby, I don't want to talk about it now, but I got a right to complain. They threw me in jail again. That's not Joseph Fingersmith talking. That's not St. Daniel talking. It's just the voices in my head are rocking. I hear so many requests, prayer requests, other requests. Oh, St. Daniel, do I pass the test? Please, Daniel, please, find a parking spot for me. I'm not handicapped, but I got my needs. Please, Daniel, please. Sorry, I feel the need to say sorry. I went on too long. I'm being told to say this against my will, but I'm still sorry. Still, we will be back next week. S. P-Lot. S. P-Lot. For everyone, everybody, every